Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hello there and a welcome to you. I think I got this thing up and running. I'm on my own for real and for good now, so God help us. I hope you can hear me. If you can't, let me know. God, there's so much to talk about. This always happens on a Monday, but where to start? Last time we spoke, it was last Thursday, and we were all very nervous about the State of the Union address and how it would go. And as it turns out, it went very well. Wow. Nailed it. And clearly was having a good time and blew to smithereens the Republican lie. Which Republican lie? There are so many. The Republican lie that he's a doddering old man who can't put two words together in a sentence. Just obliterated that nonsense. Sorry, just checking an email. So thrilled. I was just thrilled. I was in fact so excited that I couldn't sleep. I was just beside myself. I did not watch the Republican rebuttal, but I've watched it since. Oh my God. You can't make it up. You can't. If that had been in and of itself a Saturday Night Live parody, it would have made some sense. Whoa! Yike! Frightening! Scary! Wonderful! Jeez! Was that creepy or what? The parodies, on social media, there are so many parodies, one better than the next. I know Scarlett Johansson had a go of it on Saturday Night Live. Who couldn't resist? Even in print, people were having fun with it, going after it. Let me find Alexandra Petrie. I wish I knew how to pronounce her name. Was funny as hell as usual, and she wrote the column, using capital letters for enunciation. So giving the sort of there was no way to do this sort of breathy thing that she did as well, and then the creepiness of the kitchen, not to mention a kitchen. Oh my God, you can't make it up. Jeez. So I'm looking for Petrie's. Okay. Fellow moms, if you are like me, you lie awake at 2 a.m. wondering how you can be in 3 places at once. This kitchen, the Senate, and the opening monologue of a Purge movie. But you see, we can do it by whispering slowly with an intensity usually reserved for WASP moms trying to prevent their daughters from making a scene in the J. Crew fitting rooms. I'll stop. I can't do it. Just wonderful. And then the other line, though. Our DNA contains the same ingenuity that put man on the moon and women in the kitchen. Can't make it up. Wow. Wow. Oh, Lord. And then the Oscars, and then the the doctored photo uh, from the Royals. Jeez! Again, you can't make this up. And you know what else it is? It's the 4-year anniversary of our lives changing. Every one of us. Our lives being upended. It was 4 years ago today that life as we knew it ceased. This was when the country decided in terror to shut itself down, and we to shut ourselves in. There was a terrifying pandemic afoot, and we had no medicines for it. 4 years ago today. And quite clearly, we are still feeling, without a doubt, the impact of that. It has changed us in ways that we can't even comprehend at this point. But to think that was 4 years ago. It was March 11, 2020. And we had the misfortune of having a president in the White House who was not up to the job. Truly terrifying. I mean, it was 4 years ago today that the World Health Organization used the term global pandemic. The stock market plummeted. The NBA canceled the rest of its season. Schools shut down. Workplaces closed. We were living in a world we had never known before. And it's fascinating to realize, it's upsetting to realize how many deaths resulted. There was reason we were terrified. There's no way to get an absolute number because in many countries people were dying, but it wasn't at that time clear what they were dying of. But we know, and as a conservative estimate, that more than 7 million people globally died. And the true toll, which is something that demographers, I guess, statisticians call excess deaths, which is defined as the number of deaths above what was expected if normal trends, if COVID hadn't made its entry into our lives. And when you look at that, the toll is probably about 30 million people. And those would be confirmed COVID deaths, undiagnosed COVID deaths, deaths caused by things disrupted by COVID, the isolation of people causing social ills that resulted in big spikes in suicides and murders and alcohol, drugs, vehicle deaths, crashes, all that stuff. The true toll, who knows? But 30 million is believed to be probably a number that gets it close to right. Amazing. So, again, so much going on. The New York Times, let me just jump on them for 1 second. It's so easy these days. The headline in the print edition of the New York Times that is delivered to my door the day after Biden's incredible State of the Union address. This was the headline in the New York Times. Biden starts uphill climb to get public on his side. They take what was a remarkable speech and make it into a negative. He starts an uphill climb. And then that's the above the fold, the headline in the front page New York Times the day after. And then when you do the jump into the paper for the rest of the article, the headline's even worse. Inside the paper, it says Biden begins climb up very steep hill to sway the public. Wow. You've heard the term shoot the messenger. I would suggest shoot the headline writer. And then you can, give a vacation day, because this person needs rest, to whoever wrote in the Saturday paper, in the Sunday paper. There's a thing called the week ahead where they tell you what's going to happen. And here's the first 3 entries. 1, daylight saving time started today. 2, the Academy Award ceremony is this evening. And 3, Ramadan is expected to begin this evening. Anybody see or hear what I saw? There are 2 statements of fact. Daylight saving time started. The Academy Awards will be this evening. And Ramadan is expected to begin this evening. Excuse me, what do you mean is expected? Is it Ramadan or isn't it Ramadan? If I am incorrect in having that jump out at me with where my eyebrows knitted in a quizzical expression, Ramadan is expected. It suggests that something could delay it. Something could prevent it. Ramadan is expected. I know I can't have been the only person in the world who stopped at that and said, WTF? I'm serious. Okay, I have to tell you something. Now that I am in charge here, I noticed after Thursday's show, because I have many screens I have to watch, and yet I have to keep talking. I end up sitting on a screen and forgetting to watch. So it was only after the show that I saw that some of you had been attempting to contribute to the program using the live chat stream on YouTube, and I want particularly to tell the person who was wanted to comment on what I had said about the let me find it here. What I had said, I'm having troubles here. See, I can't think and do the computer all the time. So I had talked about a robot being made in England that was built to help dress people in nursing homes, thus supposedly freeing up the workers to interact in a more personal manner with the inmates thereof. And I decried it and the dystopian thing of people being warehoused and then helped by robots into their clothes and um and somebody had said to me on live chat, and I when I saw it later, I felt bad that I hadn't seen it. So I share it now because it was a good counterpoint to what I was saying. And if I'm remembering it correctly, he said that he disagreed with me, that he was somebody who was caring for, I think his mother, an older person in need, and he himself had some physical disabilities that made it very difficult for him to do some of the tasks uh, for his mom. So he was saying something like this I would find very helpful for me and my mother. And I thought, wow, okay, there's a different perspective. And I'm sorry I hadn't seen it. On the other hand, I did think later, um, that robot is not going to be available to people. Can you imagine how expensive that robot is? I don't think insurance would pay for it. I mean, unless you got a lot of money, I don't think most people would have access to that robot. That's my guess. Just saying. But thank you, and I'll try to check in more with the see what happens is I end up sitting here looking to see if anybody's calling. And that's another screen. And that's the screen I got stuck on, because if you're calling and I'm on the screen where I'm looking at what you're doing on the chat, I can't see the callers. But then if I'm on the thing with the callers, I can't see the chat. I'm just saying. So I'll try to remember to go back and forth more. Okay, I'll get better at it. That's all I can say. Uh, the Oscars. I didn't know in real time. I couldn't believe it. When Kimmel came out on stage, maybe midway through, and said that he had gotten the first, I guess, critique of his hosting, and then he read it, and I don't know. Part of it was the critic was saying, Kimmel, my God, his opening was that of a less than average person trying too hard to be something he is not and never can be. Get rid of Kimmel and replace him with another washed up but cheap ABC talent, George Slopanopoulos. He would make everybody on stage look bigger, stronger, and more glamorous. And then, at that point, we all knew who this was because of the gratuitous nastiness, the going after Slopanopoulos for being short, the just low class. It's not fair to say low class. That is bullshit, Colin. The just repulsive bully boy, childish name calling. And then Kimmel didn't, he spared us the rest, and he said, blah, 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 make America great again. And then he says to the audience, now, see if you can guess which former president just posted that on Truth Social. Well, the place goes berserk. And then Kimmel says, well, thank you, President Trump. Thank you for watching. I'm surprised. Isn't it past your jail time? Yes! Brilliant! Slam effing dunk! Yes! Thank you. I'm so surprised you're watching. Isn't it past your jail time, old man? I loved it. And to know that Trump was still watching, I couldn't believe it. This is what, yeah, okay. This is the danger. Trump had spent the day cozying up to strongman from Hungary, Viktor Orban, whatever the hell his name is. And he's taken lessons because he and Tucker Carlson and the what now passes for the Republican Party, which I on occasion call the Trump Party, which is more correct, or you could call the white nationalist neo-fascist American Party, but it ain't in any way, shape, or form a Republican Party that Republicans a generation ago would recognize. So Orban has shown Trump how you do it, how you take a democracy and reform it into a not quite dictatorship, but close. Orban is very straightforward about it. He calls Hungary now, he doesn't call it a democracy. He calls it an illiberal state. Yeah, proudly. He calls it an illiberal state. Because democracy to them, because the central foundation of a democracy is equality before the law. Everybody votes, yada, yada, yada. It varies then in various societies, but there it is. But Orban and others who happily choose an illiberal society believe that democracy undermines society, letting people who aren't the right people, giving them equality before the law, undermines the society. It dilutes the purity of the people, right? We're hearing this, right? Hearing it from Trump now. But this is Orban's playbook. Thus, you have to stop immigration. You have to get the LGBT crowd and women back in line, back in the closet, back in the kitchen, and you cannot have them having the same rights, because that world challenges the patriarchal world that these people don't want to lose. And, you know, what Orban did was he essentially took over the media. He eliminated other political parties. He gerrymandered a storm up. He took over the courts, and he's taken over some of the economy as well, so that he and his allies are lining their pockets. And here's what Donald Trump had to say of him this weekend. There's nobody that's better, nobody smarter or a better leader than Viktor Orban. He's fantastic. He simply says, this is the way it's going to be. And that's the end of it. There you go. Can you imagine that man is the Republican nominee, will be soon, and everyone has fallen in line behind him? Wow. Just wow. I came on something that Robert Reich wrote. It's too long, but I want to share some of it with you because it's uplifting in a way, because he is saying that he cannot imagine that this country will elect Trump. Cannot conceive of it. I was saying last week, I tried to do a sort of mental game. I tried to imagine waking up the morning after the election to find that Donald Trump had been elected and what that would feel like. And it is such a terrifying prospect. I mean, something the like of which I've never felt. And Reich put out a thing that he headlined, "The Case for Nauseous Optimism," which is very clever. He says, I chose the word nauseous over cautious because my stomach churns at the very possibility that Trump could get a second term. And then he proceeds to explain why he's nauseously optimistic. He says the polls, screw him. It is so early out. Just don't bother your head about the polls. And then he talks about Biden's feisty, bold, energetic, upbeat, combative State of the Union speech. And he talked about how totally bizarre these Republicans are, how creepy and horrible they are. I don't know about you, but when I watched the speech, I could not believe how the Republicans actually sat on their hands and their fat asses through lines like, no child should go hungry in this country. They sat, I mean, if Biden had said, I'm for apple pie and motherhood, they would have sat there, stony faced. You know what? It ain't a good look. And then that rebuttal. Good God. And by now we all know she lied. Well, she's a good mag rat. She lied in her speech with that disgusting, grisly account of a sex trafficked child, which she seemed to lay at Biden's feet. And it took a independent reporter, by the way. The big boys caught up to him later, but the guy who broke the story, who did the legwork, checking on what that idiot woman in her kitchen had said, and found that she was talking about, in fact, a real woman, and the real woman's horrific ordeal was true. But it happened when George W. Bush was president, and it didn't happen in the United States. Anyone listening to the speech would have thought it was Biden's border policy that allowed this child to be sex trafficked. Uh, so, just saying. Just saying. And I gotta tell you, I almost have sympathy for that awful Republican woman because, man, she is taking it on the chin. She is toast. Um, I can't even imagine her Republican colleagues deigning to speak to her. Some quotes from Republican strategists. What the hell am I watching? God, one of our biggest disasters ever. Couldn't happen to a nicer bunch. A few words from Reich to make you feel better. I've been at this game for almost 3/4 of a century. It's a long game, and America still has a long way to go. But apart from Trump fanatics, the nation is in many ways better and stronger now than it has ever been. It's more inclusive, it's more tolerant, it's more diverse, it's more accepting, it's more dynamic. All the reasons for the MAGA freakout and pushback. He, he says, we must all become a pro-democracy movement with all the passion and tenacity that movements require. And he points out that Americans are more behind our vision. And what our vision is unclear because, we represent such a wider range of Americans. When I say we, I'm just talking about people who understand that a vote for Trump is a vote to end American democracy. And that takes in a lot of people, including some Republicans, or who used to be, independents, people who aren't as keen, they aren't as keen on a lot of where the left keeps pushing. Doesn't matter. We got to keep everybody in the tent and on board and united. The majority of Americans agree with what Biden was saying at that State of the Union address. They they are aware of these despicable inequalities of income and wealth, and how the rich do not pay their fair share, and how the Republicans are forever giving the rich more and starving the needy. Most Americans believe that government has no business forcing women to give birth or telling consenting adults how to conduct the most intimate aspects of their lives. Most Americans want to limit access to guns. Most Americans see climate change as a true existential threat. And they want to protect our democracy. Trump Republicans paint a picture of this country as a hellscape. And if they get their way, it will be. All Trump is so much for mourning in America. Hey, Ronnie, if you were alive today, oh my God. You know what? They'd come after you, Ronnie. The Republicans want people to despair. That is, and to hate each other. That's part of their strategy. Divide and conquer. And they figure if they make us scared and or despairing enough that we'll lose our fight. Anyway, Reich ends his thing with this: I don't mean to be a Pollyanna. We are in the fight of our lives. It will demand a great deal of our energy, our time, and our courage, but this fight is critical and noble. It will set the course for America and the world for decades, and it is winnable. The point is, it's appropriate to be nauseously optimistic. Oh, guys, I see you're calling. Oh, wow. Hang on here. Hang on here. Let me see what I got. Who's here first? Okay. Hey, caller. There you go.
Good morning, Lynn. It's Dave from Washington.
Hey, Dave. Hi. Are you better? Weren't you sick last time you called? No.
Yeah, I was. I think I had COVID. I'll tell you what, it kicked my butt pretty good. Just nose, just stuffy nose and everything. I've still got kind of a runny nose.
Wow.
Anyways, here's why I called.
Okay.
Today's my birthday, and I know it's also your dad's birthday.
Yes, it is.
But
Happy
so every year
birthday.
on my birthday,
You do.
Well, thank you. Every year I call him, wish your dad happy birthday, because I know it's your dad's birthday. I don't know how in the world I found that out.
I
But,
must have said it at one point.
I think you have a Wikipedia page. Did you know that? I think you do. I think I read it there.
Really? Why would my dad's birthday be on my Wikipedia page? Huh.
I have absolutely no idea. I'm pretty sure that's where I saw it.
Well, my Wikipedia page, and this is weird, somebody drew my attention to it, I think last year. And good Lord, I don't know who did it, but it has facts in it that I barely knew. And it has sites. So somebody who I have no idea who, actually put together a legitimate Wikipedia entry for me.
Well, there you go. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, so maybe my dad...
You got admirers out there.
Yeah, maybe my dad's birthday is there, but how odd. Okay.
Yeah, I think it says Lynn, whatever your original name was.
Miller.
Daughter of such and such. And, Miller, that's right.
Yeah. Norman Miller.
So happy birthday to your dad.
Thank you. He'd be 104 today.
Wow. Yeah, my folks would be up. It's also Sam Donaldson's birthday. Sam Donaldson without the hair.
Sam Donaldson. Is he alive? I don't think so. He is?
I think he is. I think he's retired. I don't know. Anyways, that's it. Just wanted to call and wish you.
Well, you're too sweet. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Bye. Goodbye.
You're welcome. I'll talk to you again.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye. Unbelievable. And hello, caller. Hi.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
How you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
That's good. Hey, I wanted to ask you on the, you're talking about this dictatorship of Trump. Now, once he gets in there and this happens, who's going to enforce it? Who's going to enforce this dictatorship? That's what I want to know.
Well, if he were if he were president, wait a minute. But if he were president, he would have control of the military as commander in chief, and he would he could enact the insurrection. He could, the Insurrection Act allows him to use. And are you going to tell me the military would refuse?
Yes.
Well,
they take the oath to the Constitution. They will protect the Constitution, and we know what the Constitution says, most of it. So that's where I have my disagreement on. I'm not saying he won't try. He'll do a lot of terrible things, but I for some reason, I have a lot of people in the military, so I just think that he better never try it, because I think he'll find himself in the prison. I really do believe that's what will happen.
Well, I certainly hope so.
It's already written. They don't talk about stuff like this. They have things that they do to certain situations. We're not like some flim-flam country that we just, just go along with it. He said it, Orban said it, so not going to happen. No, I'm not saying when he's in there he'll do a lot of horrible things he'd get away with. But he could only go so far. He's not going to get in anyway, so I'm not even worried about that part. All we got to do is vote. That's the big part of it. But we ain't cut out for that shit. We mad about freedoms he take away. You see what's going on with this abortion stuff. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You take away the freedoms, they're going to vote against you. As soon as you take people's freedoms away, that's it. You're done. He's done. He's done. He can't. Republicans are done. This is their last hurrah. It's going to fade out.
Well,
but they're going to put up a big fight. They're going to cause a lot of trouble.
No, there's going to be terrible trouble. Yeah. Okay.
And they're going to probably do another capital thing too. I'm sure that's going to happen again.
Well, but
it's a shame. But
I've come to realize that the coup of January 6th is ongoing. I mean, they have never stopped. It is still going. They are positioning themselves. It is an ongoing coup, and there's about 1/3 of the country. That's a lot of people. 1/3 of the country that are behind it. It's frightening.
Let's hope that some of those people are just all mouth and they don't get involved, and they're okay shouting and going to rallies and spouting their mouth, but when it comes to actually doing the dirty work, they walk the other way. You know, those ones, let's go in and tell the boss, well, we can go together. Pretty soon you see you're the only one to go in and talk to the boss. Everybody else left. And that's what I think they are. Fair weather friends, or whatever you want to call them.
Well, I hope so.
I think they're weak in the knees. I really do.
Okay.
Yeah. I think they're all talk. All talk. Till the shit hits the fan, then they... Okay.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye. Oh, man. Okay. I think I did that. Okay. Okay. I get it now. I just toggle back and forth every once in a while. Oh, an update. This is neither here nor there or terribly important, but it's an update on the story about the Iditarod, the guy who killed a moose, the sledder, the musher who killed a moose that attacked his dog, one of his dogs, and the rules. So we find out that if you kill an edible animal during the race, the rules say you have to gut it so that the meat can be used. And turns out that they went and inspected a 3-person panel went and inspected the gutted moose and came to the conclusion that the animal was not sufficiently gutted, that it was a mess, and consequently, the guy who had insufficiently gutted the moose would be penalized 2 hours. So he will lose. He's ahead. He's been ahead. He was ahead at the halfway point. He was ahead when he killed the moose. But they're gonna penalize him 2 hours for insufficiently gutting the moose. The race is still going on. Just saying. It's expected to end maybe today or tomorrow. And the good news is his dog, whose name was Falou. Falou was grievously and critically injured and was airlifted to a vet and was in critical condition when last we heard. And Falou has been cleared, and he is gonna make it. So there's the good news. All righty, guys. Okay. Just wanted. One of the reasons I don't go to concerts anymore, is because you pay for a seat and then you can't sit in it, and you stand the whole time. And I got a back and a leg that wouldn't let me do that, so forget about it. And I don't know if you saw this, but Madonna was doing one of her concerts, maybe yesterday or the day before, and she sees somebody not standing in the audience. And Madonna calls this woman out. Hey, you! What are you doing sitting down? This is in the middle of her concert. What are you doing sitting down? And then, it turns out the woman is in a wheelchair. And yeah, and Madonna says, oh, politically incorrect. Yeah, how about sorry? How about forgive me? And anybody else who wants to sit down in the seat they bought is free to do so. God. Anyway, I just saw that and it enraged me. It doesn't take much, as you know, to enrage me. Here's another thing that enraged me. The Pittsburgh cop who tased that innocent soul who was just test riding a bicycle for sale, or that was being given away freely, I think, actually. And some do-gooder busybody called the cops thinking a bike was being stolen, and the cops arrive in force and they tase this poor soul. Not once, not twice, not 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 times? And it killed him. They're right near a hospital. They avoid West Penn. I don't know where. They drove around for an hour or so. It is beyond belief. They killed him. And the cop who did was fired by the police, as he should have been. He's a killer on the loose. And the good old FOP, the Fraternal Order of Police, went to bat for him, and damn an arbitrator. I'd like to talk to the arbitrator. The arbitrator ruled in the cop's favor, and the cop is back on the force, serving and protecting us. Maybe. Outrageous. Deborah wants to know if I saw Nancy Mace on Slopalopolis. I never watched those Sunday shows. Sunday is my day of peace, and I cannot bear. I don't even quite know. Nancy Mace is a Republican, congresswoman? She's a jerk. She supports Trump. I didn't see it. I'm sorry. Or I'm not sorry. I can't. How much can a person take? All I'm saying. How much can a person take? Oh, man. In terms of the horror from these people, I saw how Trump yesterday was ridiculing Biden for being a stutterer. And, how anybody can think a man that small, that cruel, who beats up on people with disabilities, they see that as strong? I gotta say, if you see that as strong rather than cruel, your mama didn't teach you right. And I mean that. And if you've, I don't know, attended church, you weren't listening. You ever read the Bible? You weren't comprehending. It's why so many of your fellow Americans are so dumbstruck by you. And we will, as Biden said in his State of the Union, we will not let you succeed. We will not. Speaking of the wonderful Republicans, did you see? These things don't get reported much, so I'll, in case you missed this one, let's see. His title was he was a young Republican county vice chair in Alabama, and the Senator Tom Butler's campaign chair. His name is Kyle Luter, and he has been arrested for sexual torture and murder. Another fine Republican. So, spring's on the way, despite the fact that there's still some snow on the ground. And what is it so I just want to give you, this is something I read, and I thought I'd give you the information. The headline is another fight we have on our hands. Squashing lantern flies isn't enough, okay? And this is a tutorial on how to kill them. It turns out the lantern flies are now all down the East Coast and into the Midwest, and they ain't stopping. They came to us from Southeast Asia. I have to say to Asia, will you stop sending us the things you're sending us? I'm serious. I know we've sent you a lot of troubles, but all right, let's just all cease and desist. Somebody pointed out that the lanternfly, I remember the first time I saw one, they're beautiful. I mean, they are beautiful. It's not like they're, hiding, these ruby red streaks and black spots on white wing. I mean, they're beautiful. And so if you think of the natural order, that is an insect that is not, its survival is not about blending in. It's not like it wants not to be noticed. Now, that means in the Darwinian world that when an animal or an insect, I guess they're in the same thing, is showing itself so boldly, it's a warning. Don't you try. And so, this PhD student at Penn State, a woman named Ann Johnson, said, the fact that an insect like that is saying, you don't even think of eating me. She says, you can't be that pretty without backing it up. And so she did this experiment to see what insects were willing to eat. What is anything willing to eat this damn thing? Because birds are usually the things that we rely on to take care of infestations, because they eat insects. And she found all kinds of images of chickadees, cardinals, others, spiders, some mammals trying to eat lanternflies and spitting them out. Someone wrote her and said that his 70-pound dog ate one and was sick for 12 hours. So it turns out that what spotted lanternflies like to eat the most is an invasive species from Asia, where they came from. So the thing it eats is from Asia and doesn't belong here, and they are from Asia and don't belong here. And the thing they like to eat is the leaves of what we call tree of heaven, which is really the tree from hell, because it's impossible to get rid of. And they think that it's the toxicity that the tree creates that the lanternflies ingest, and then they taste horrible. So that's what they're looking at. So anyway, they're telling us if you have any tree of heavens around, cut them down. Cut them down. Yes, they'll probably grow back. Just keep cutting them down. And there's no silver bullet. But if the lanternflies aren't able to eat the tree of heaven as much, they'll eat other stuff, and they'll be a little more edible themselves to the birds who might want to try eating them. That's the plan. Okay? I know it's convoluted. I'm just saying. Tree of heaven, bad tree. Lanternflies, beautiful, but bad bug that eats tree of heaven. If you want to get rid of the one, you gotta contain the other, and then let the birds do their job. Simple as that. Although it's not. Okay, I think that's it, guys. I'm out of here. I'm done, and hang on. I'm done. Can I actually get? I'm sorry. I'm trying so hard to be cool about this, and it's hard for me. I'll get better. I'm astonishingly good. You have no idea. And I'll talk to you tomorrow, and I'll get Susan on all by myself, and the sun's out, and it's
Lynn
warm
Cullen
and
Live,
all right already.
Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.